Hey everybody, this is Ryan, and we're gonna go over My Girl. Sounds like this. So, a lot of really great benefits to this song, being able to play individual strings, being able to mute all the other strings, deciding which fingers to use when for economy of motion, all this kind of stuff, and we'll go over it as we go over the riff. You'll see that for most of the riff, I'm doing all downstrokes. That's just because it's easier for me to do all downstrokes, and it's downstrokes tend to be heavier than upstrokes are, so it projects a little bit more, and it gives me more of the energy that I want when I'm playing this song. But you certainly can alternate pick this song too. It just might, it's for me, it's a little bit harder to do that. So let's get started. So to start with, we have the bass line. So I use a lot of funk guitar playing in music therapy context just because I could play it like this. It doesn't have quite the same feel as... It gives me kind of the energy that I want in sessions because this is like an upbeat, peppy song. So the way that I do that is the ring finger is on the 3rd fret of the A, and then the ring finger is slightly touching the low E with the very tip, so that way it's not ringing out. And then you can see that the rest of my fingers are kind of laying down across the strings. So that way I'm getting this. Try that with me. One more time. So that's the first thing about this riff is the muting. And muting is a tough skill to get, but once you get it, you got it. And it's very useful in lots of contexts and riffs. So after this, then rather than hopping between the, my ring finger could cover this G if it wanted to. It sounds like this though. It doesn't sound as good, and it's kind of, it's harder for me to do that. So I'd rather do this. So my middle finger is going to cover the 3rd fret on the low E like this. And then that rest is in there too. To do the rest, all you have to do is lift up your middle finger. So that's the bass part. Now to get to the actual riff, it sounds like this. And that's how I would play it whenever I'm first starting out the song. The fingering will change when we get to the F chord, and I'll show you that in a second. But starts off, same thing, ring finger on the A. Then you have this open D string. And you want to try to be very articulate with your right hand when you hit the D string, because there's nothing really muting the other strings. But if the other strings ring out, as long as you got the energy and the confidence, it's going to be good. So we have, and then we have our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D. After that, we have an open G string. So same thing, just try to control your right hand as best you can. And then you can either do your middle on the 2nd fret of the G, and then do your pointer on the 1st fret of the B. And that's one way to do it. I would recommend that you do it like this. So when we get to this A note, we want to use our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then your middle finger on the 1st fret of the B. So it looks like this slowly. 1, 2, ready, go. Because then we're going to have this first finger free to grab the 1st fret of the low E. Otherwise, it would sound like this. You have to it's kind of a very awkward motion, and it sounds kind of awkward. So that's why if you have this here, then your first finger is already set up, ready to play the 1st fret on the low E. So that was the C major riff. Here's the F riff. It goes like this. So we have first finger on the 1st fret of the low E, then ring finger on the 3rd fret of the low E. Then we have an open A. And kind of what I tend to do is my thumb kind of wraps up to mute the low E. and the first finger is laying down across the other strings, so that way I can get just that A string. Then the ring finger is going to play the 3rd fret of the A, and then same thing, where my thumb kind of comes around to mute the low E and the A, and then the first finger is muting the other strings. And then I probably will use my pinky to play the 3rd fret of the D string, because then my ring finger is set up to play the C note right above it. Very similar to when we did the bass line, except now it's here. So that F riff very slowly is like dum, 1, 2, ready, go. Like that. So let's try playing it together really slowly. Do, 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 do. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, 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 do. One more time. Do, 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 do. And that is the riff. So that was my girl, and I'll see y'all in the practice video.